Now, we all require sleep, but more specifically, if you are somebody that has a high stress job that requires a lot of cognitive brain power, you're a busy professional, an executive, an entrepreneur, you know that your career, your life, and your success very much depends on your brain and your thoughts. And sleep is absolutely crucial for us to show up every day and deliver our best ideas. It's very important to understand that we can absolutely have control over our sleep. And subsequent to that, getting enough sleep, but more specifically REM sleep, will really help you increase your focus, your output, and your efficiency. Okay, so definitions. First of all, what is REM sleep? So REM sleep is one of the 5 stages of sleep that make up the sleep cycle in humans. REM sleep is associated with vivid dreams and increased brain activity. During REM sleep, the brain is highly active while the body is in a state of paralysis, and this is also the stage of sleep where we dream. REM is very important for cognitive and emotional functions, including memory consolidation, emotional processing and learning. REM sleep also helps us form connections in our brain between recently learned information and entire backlog of memories. REM sleep directly impacts your ability to process thoughts and memories. So what happens to your brain when you lack sleep is that the amygdala, which is responsible for the brain's emotional response, is 60% more reactive. In a sleep-deprived state, this actually shuts down your brain's prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for thoughtful, rational thinking, and it shuts down the communication between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, which means that when you lack REM sleep, your ability to learn and acquire information, process thoughts rationally will be compromised, and your cognition will be compromised, and your ability to process emotions will also be compromised. So how much REM sleep should you be getting each night? So for healthy adults that are getting sufficient sleep, 20 to 25% of your sleep should be REM sleep. Your first REM cycle is usually 90 minutes after you fall asleep. And in the first 90 minutes of your sleep, you should be getting REM sleep that lasts about 10 minutes or so. The second half of your night will contain more REM sleep. So if you're sleeping anywhere from 7 to 9 hours a night, which is considered adequate sleep in a healthy adult, you want to aim for at least 90 minutes of REM a night, ideally 120 minutes. Now, on average, if your sleep is optimized, you should be getting anywhere from 3 to 6 REM cycles a night. So when healthy adults getting appropriate sleep, each REM cycle should be getting longer and longer in duration throughout the night. The last REM cycle during your sleep can possibly last anywhere from up to an hour. The majority of your REM sleep is actually achieved in the last 25% of your sleep. So if you are only sleeping around 6 hours a night, you can literally cut down your REM sleep in half. And you will not be your most optimal self if you're getting less than 90 minutes of REM sleep every night. And for myself, I noticed that anything less than 90 minutes of REM sleep, my overall ability to think, be productive, to come up with my best ideas for work or YouTube or all the other things I work on is just completely diminished, right? It's almost like I've wasted an entire day being tired because I haven't gotten enough REM sleep. For both males and females, roughly 20 to 25% of your sleep should be REM sleep. So for the individuals we work with for coaching, things that we look for in terms of sleep optimization are making sure that you achieve at least 90 minutes of REM sleep every night, up to 2.5 hours of REM sleep on a daily basis. And this is done in a lot of different ways, but one of them is definitely improving your diet and behavioral changes around sleep and sleep routine. And this is something that you can track with something like an Oura ring. I want to show you guys the metrics of my Oura ring to highlight some of the things that I've been talking about in this video, which I think you will find useful if you are a visual learner. So this is my sleep data that I've been tracking on my Oura ring. The Oura ring does have a mobile app feature as well, but for the purposes of this, it's easier to show you guys on desktop. For those of you guys who are more visual learners, I wanted to highlight REM sleep duration in terms of what we're aiming for. So ideally, we are trying to aim for 90 minutes to 2 hours of REM sleep a night. As you can see from my own data here, on this day, I got 1 hour, 57 minutes. Roughly 75% of your REM sleep is obtained in the last couple hours of your sleep, or the last 25% of your sleep. For example, you are sleeping anywhere from 7 to 9 hours a night. The last 2 hours should be primarily REM sleep. You can see here, this last chunk of REM sleep went from almost 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. To notice is that your sleep cycles in REM will extend in duration throughout the night. It will get longer and longer, progressively speaking. You will have less and less awake time and more REM sleep. You can see here, if you are minimizing your sleep duration from 8 hours to 6 hours, that means your REM sleep is going to be significantly compromised. So on this day, for example, I went to bed at 7:45. I didn't fall asleep, or I didn't start sleeping until closer to 9. For those of you guys who are not optimizing your sleep quality and specifically the duration and the length of your sleep, you are going to be compromising yourself when it comes to your ability to obtain quality REM sleep. Because the difference between sleeping 6 hours a night and 8 hours a night can be all just REM sleep, right? It can be literally an hour to an hour and a half of REM sleep. Now, the number of REM cycles that you go through a night can vary night to night. You can see on this day, I only had 3 REM cycles, but fewer REM cycles doesn't mean that the sleep quality is poor. I still ended up getting 2 hours and 12 minutes of REM sleep for a sleep score of 93 on this day. Another factor that you want to look into is how many hours it takes you to reach your lowest resting heart rate. So on this day, I got to my lowest resting heart rate by 12:40, 4 hours after I went to bed. So that's really good. The sooner your body can get to its lowest resting heart rate, the better. Anything more than 5 to 6 hours, and that's a sign that your body may not be recovering sufficiently. You can see here on this day, I actually slept in and I woke up at 6. So what happened on this day was that my alarm probably went off and I decided to sleep in a little bit longer because I was tired. But if I had waken up when my alarm went off, then I would have literally just cut down on my REM sleep, and it probably would have just been a unproductive or inefficient day because I would have gotten less than an hour and a half of REM sleep. If you are interested in sleep optimization specifically, I do also have another free resource on how to improve your sleep that I will leave in the description below as well. So some tips on improving REM sleep. Now, when I say improve, I really mean that trying to get that to 90 to 120 minutes of REM sleep a night. Big tip I have is to, again, track your sleep with a sleep monitor. The only way you're going to optimize your sleep is if you have the data, right, to back it up, because otherwise you are kind of just guessing and then sleep feels like a random outcome to you. Once you have the data in front of you, it's a lot easier to understand what you can do to tweak and manipulate and optimize your sleep. So one tip I have is just being really conscious of your awake time and how long it takes you to fall asleep. So if you want to get 8 hours of sleep and you have to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, then you have to go to bed before 11, and do factor in the time that it takes to fall asleep. So time in bed is not the same as sleep time, right? Because it does take time for the body to fall asleep. So if you are trying to wake up for 7, that means winding down around 10 o'clock, making sure all the screens are off, the room is dark. Maybe you want to do some reading a little bit before bed. I highly recommend reading on a Kindle because the backlight is much easier on your eyes. But make sure you account for that additional time that it takes to fall asleep, just to be able to get the sleep that you are targeting for. Another thing to understand is your sleep chronotype. Are you an early waker or are you a night owl? Whatever helps you maximize your focus and output throughout the day is what you want to stick to. Making sure that you are consistent with your sleep schedule. So the biggest tip that I can give you around optimizing sleep is trying to go to bed at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every morning. This really helps keep your hormones in check and your limbic system in check. If you are going to different times every single night and waking up at different times every single night, that's basically equivalent to putting your body through jet lag every single day. Obviously, to the best extent possible,